Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to strike the last word. Thank you for bringing the Pandemic All Hazards Preparedness Advancing Innovation Act of 2018, what we call PAHPA, before our committee today, and to all committee members for your work and contributions to the bill. I'm proud to have introduced this important bill with my good friend, Representative Anna Eshoo, who is one of the original authors of the 2006 PAHPA bill and the lead author of the last reauthorization in 2013. This bipartisan public health and national security effort will ensure our nation is better prepared to respond to natural disasters, emerging infectious diseases, and chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear attacks, whether they come from terrorist groups or from nation states. I was U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana in 2001 during the anthrax attacks, which infected more than 17 people, killing 5, and it paralyzed our nation's capital. Not only was Congress a target with letters containing anthrax spores, but my own U.S. Attorney's Office in Indiana received a hoax letter, a letter filled with white powder inside. It was a hoax. But in the 17 years since then, the threat of chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear incidents continues to grow. Every day, our adversaries are looking for more effective and faster ways to produce a threat. And as everyone here knows, it's not a question of if we will face a threat that is constantly changing, but it's a question of when. Our bill reflects extensive feedback from the full range of medical and health professionals, public health preparedness and response stakeholders. And I'd like to request that the chairman submit, I'm submitting a list of more than 40 organizations and growing by the hour supporting this legislation for the record.
Without objection.
Our bill ensures our preparedness and response capabilities will include a robust pipeline of medical countermeasures as it reauthorizes and increases funding for the BioShield Special Reserve Fund and BARDA, the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. The development of medical countermeasures is a lengthy and often risky endeavor, which is why sending a clear signal that BARDA remains a strong and committed partner with academic institutions and particularly the private sectors in these efforts is so important. The development of vaccines of drugs is a challenging process. Although naturally occurring smallpox has been eradicated around the globe, at least 2 labs, including one in Russia, have live samples of the virus that could be weaponized. But thanks to PAHPA, 21st Century Cures, we're more prepared for these kinds of threats. Last Friday, the FDA approved the first drug to treat smallpox. It's called TPOXX. TPOXX is not the only recent approval by the FDA. Days before, on July 10th, the FDA approved an auto-injector which provides a one-time dose of an antidote to block effects of nerve agent, which we've heard about lately. In an effort to ensure we're better prepared when we face an outbreak like Zika or Ebola, PAHPA improves the existing Emergency Response Fund so that the Secretary doesn't have to wait on approval from Congress to immediately fund response measures needed to counteract an outbreak. After the devastating hurricanes in Florida and Puerto Rico, we know we need to do better to prioritize the needs of everyone in our community, vulnerable populations, children, senior citizens, people with disabilities. Our bill reauthorizes advisory committees and creates new committees to ensure the needs of seniors and people with disabilities. Our bill also ensures that more health care professionals, nurses, doctors, and others can be hired and trained when facing a public health crisis. We also strengthen the National Disaster Medical System, and we ensure that we have a robust supply of vaccines, equipment, basic like gloves, hazmat suits, masks, and others in our strategic national stockpiles located all across the country, so our professionals have the equipment they need. As a committee, we've heard a lot about the important role of diagnostics, particular point-of-care diagnostics. And Mr. Chairman, as we move forward, I ask the committee to continue to consider ways to utilize diagnostics in a more meaningful way in order to identify infectious diseases and prevent antimicrobial resistance. I can't emphasize enough how critically important it is that we reauthorize PAHPA before it expires at the end of September. We have a duty as members of Congress to keep Americans safe and secure. This bill, I believe, is an essential component of accomplishing that goal. I want to thank everyone, especially our staffs, for your incredibly hard work. I look forward to continuing this work as we get this bill to the President's desk. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady for her comments and for her and Ms. Eshoo's really hard work on this. Before we proceed,